And that's why you need to tell the truth, little girl. Making up stories about your mama doesn't make you special. Officer Barnes stood over Jada with his arms crossed, his badge catching the fluorescent airport lights. His voice carried across the security checkpoint, drawing stares from travelers pulling off their shoes and unloading laptops. Jada clutched her backpack straps tighter, her brown eyes fixed on the scuffed linoleum floor. She was 12 years old, small for her age, with cornrows pulled back so tight they made her scalp ache. Her Aunt Lisa touched her shoulder, but Jada didn't look up. "My mom is a Navy SEAL," Jada said again, quieter this time. Barnes laughed, a sharp barking sound that made two TSA agents glance over from their conveyor belts. "A Navy SEAL? Really? That's what we're going with today." The officer was a large man, mid-40s, with a gut that pressed against his uniform shirt and a face that had settled into permanent skepticism. He shifted his weight, his hand resting on his belt near his radio. "I've been working airport security for 15 years, kid. You know how many children come through here making up stories, saying their dad's a pilot when he stocks shelves, claiming their mom's a doctor when she cleans hospitals? You think I was born yesterday?" "She's not lying," Lisa said, stepping forward. She was Jada's mother's younger sister, wearing jeans and a Howard University sweatshirt, her loxas tied back in a bun. Her mother is Chief Petty Officer Maya Thompson. She serves in Naval Special Warfare. Barnes turned his attention to Lisa, his expression shifting from amusement to something harder. "Naval Special Warfare? Lady, do you even know what a Navy SEAL is? These are the most elite warriors on the planet. They're the ones who got bin Laden. They jump out of planes into enemy territory. They operate in places most people can't pronounce." He gestured broadly, his voice rising. "And you're telling me this little girl's mama is one of them?" A woman in a business suit paused mid-step, her rolling suitcase stopping behind her. A family of 4, father, mother, 2 teenagers, pretended to reorganize their carry-ons while clearly listening. An elderly man in a veteran's cap sat down on a nearby bench watching. "Yes," Lisa said firmly. "That's exactly what I'm telling you." Barnes shook his head slowly, a smile creeping across his face. "Let me tell you something about Navy SEALs. First of all, there's only about 2,500 of them in the entire United States military. The dropout rate in BUD-S training is over 75%. Most men, grown men, athletes, soldiers, they ring that bell and quit before Hell Week even finishes. You know what Hell Week is? 5.5 days of continuous training, 4 hours of sleep total, running over 200 miles, swimming in 50-degree ocean water until your body stops shivering because it's given up trying to stay warm, carrying boats on your head until your neck vertebrae compress, getting sand in every crack and crevice of your body until you're bleeding from places you didn't know could bleed." He took a step closer to Jada, bending down slightly. "And you're telling me your mama did that? Your mama carried a 200-pound boat on her head with 5 other guys through sand dunes? Your mama did thousands of push-ups on wet sand? Your mama survived the surf zone, getting pounded by instructors while waves crashed over her face?" Jada's jaw tightened, but she didn't respond. Her fingers went white, gripping her backpack straps. "I'm not trying to be mean, sweetheart," Barnes continued, though his tone suggested otherwise. "I'm trying to teach you about honesty, about respecting the real men and women who serve this country. My brother-in-law was a Marine. My cousin did 2 tours in Afghanistan with the Army. These are serious people who did serious things, and when you make up stories about your family being special forces, you disrespect everyone who actually served." "She's not making it up," Lisa said, her voice sharp now, "and I'd appreciate it if you'd stop interrogating a child in the middle of an airport security line." Barnes straightened, turning to face Lisa fully. "Interrogating. Ma'am, I'm doing my job. Part of airport security is watching for suspicious behavior. And you know what's suspicious? A kid telling obvious lies. Makes me wonder what else isn't adding up here." He pulled out a small notepad from his breast pocket, flipping it open with theatrical slowness. "How about you show me some ID, both of you, and I'll need to see your boarding passes again." "We already showed them to the TSA agent," Lisa protested, "and now you're showing them to me." The security line had backed up behind them. A businessman in a Navy suit checked his watch pointedly. A mother with a toddler on her hip sighed. The TSA agents exchanged glances but didn't intervene. Barnes was airport police, not their jurisdiction. Lisa pulled out her wallet, producing her driver's license and Jada's boarding pass with sharp, angry movements. Barnes examined them with exaggerated care, tilting them toward the light, checking the holograms. "Thompson," he read aloud. "And you're Lisa Crawford. Different last names, so you're not the mother." "I'm her aunt. I already told you that." Right, the aunt. "And where exactly is this Navy SEAL mother?" "She's deployed," Lisa said. "She's returning from overseas. We're meeting her here." Barnes's eyebrows shot up. "Oh, she's meeting you here? At the airport? That's convenient." He looked around at the growing audience, playing to them now. "So, this elite Navy SEAL operator is just going to waltz through this airport, just like a regular person?" "Yes," Lisa said through gritted teeth. "Because that's exactly how Navy SEALs travel," Barnes continued, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "They just book a regular commercial flight, stroll through security with their Starbucks, sit in coach. They don't have classified movements or secure transport or anything like that. They definitely don't have to worry about operational security or foreign intelligence services tracking their whereabouts." A younger airport employee, a black woman in her 20s wearing a TSA uniform, approached hesitantly. "Officer Barnes, maybe we should— I've got this handled, Keisha." Barnes cut her off without looking at her. "These ladies and I are just having a conversation about honesty and respect." Keisha hesitated, glanced at Jada's face, then stepped back. Barnes crouched down again, bringing himself to Jada's eye level. His knees cracked. "Sweetheart, I want to help you, okay? But I can't help you if you're not truthful with me. Now, I understand sometimes kids make up stories because they want their parents to be special. Maybe your mama works on a Navy base. Maybe she's a cook or a clerk or something like that. And you heard the word SEAL and got confused. That's okay. Nobody's going to be mad if you just tell the truth now." Jada finally looked up, meeting his eyes directly for the first time. Her voice came out steady and clear. "My mother is Chief Petty Officer Maya Thompson. She completed Bud S Class 351. She's been in Naval Special Warfare for 9 years. She's served in Afghanistan, Iraq, and places she can't tell me about. She's earned the Navy and Marine Corps Commendation Medal, the Joint Service Achievement Medal, and the Combat Action Ribbon. She can swim 2 miles in under 75 minutes wearing full gear. She can run 4 miles in under 28 minutes. She's qualified in Halo and HAHO parachute operations, close quarters combat, maritime operations, and explosive ordnance disposal. She speaks Arabic and Pashto, and she's my mom." The words came out like they'd been rehearsed, memorized, cherished. Every detail was precise, delivered with the kind of pride that can't be faked. Several travelers stopped moving entirely. The businessman lowered his phone, the mother with the toddler's mouth opened slightly. Barnes stared at Jada for a long moment, then burst out laughing again, louder this time, more performative. "Oh, now we've got the whole Wikipedia entry memorized. That's impressive, kid. You really did your homework. Bud S Class 351, Combat Action Ribbon, speaks Arabic. You really committed to this story." He stood up, shaking his head. "But here's the thing about lies, sweetheart. The more details you add, the easier they are to disprove." He turned to the gathered crowd, addressing them like he was hosting a show. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the holdup. We've got ourselves a situation here. A child who's been watching too many military movies and thinks she can convince everybody her mama is G.I. Jane." He turned back to Jada. "You know what the real problem is? When you disrespect the military like this, you're disrespecting actual heroes. Real heroes who actually did these things. And there aren't many of them, let me tell you. There are women Navy SEALs," Keisha said quietly from behind him. Barnes waved a dismissive hand. "Sure, yeah, technically. They opened it up a few years ago. But let's be realistic here. How many women have actually made it through? Handful at best? And you expect me to believe this little girl's mother is one of maybe 10 women in the entire country who completed SEAL training? Do you understand how statistically impossible that is?" "Improbable," Lisa corrected. "Not impossible. And yes, that's exactly what we're telling you. Improbable, impossible. Same difference when you're lying." Barnes crossed his arms again. "Here's what's actually happening. You two are running some kind of game, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'm going to find out. Maybe you're trying to get special treatment, skip the line, get priority boarding. Maybe you're testing security responses. Maybe you just like attention. Whatever it is, it stops now. We're not running any game, Lisa said, her voice shaking with barely controlled fury. We're waiting for her mother to arrive from a classified mission, and you're harassing us for no reason. Classified mission, Barnes repeated mockingly. Right, and I'm sure she's going to show up any minute now, riding a helicopter with a 50 cal machine gun, wearing night vision goggles and face paint. She said her mom's coming, the elderly veteran spoke up from his bench. Maybe you should wait and see. Barnes shot him an irritated look. Sir, with all due respect, this doesn't concern you. I'm making it my concern. I wore the uniform for 23 years, Army, and I never liked seeing officers abuse their authority over children. I'm not abusing anything. I'm doing my job. Your job is security, not humiliation. Barnes's face flushed. Okay, everybody's an expert today. Everybody knows how to do my job better than me. He pulled out his radio. Dispatch, this is Barnes at checkpoint 3. I need a supervisor down here. I've got a possible situation with false statements and suspicious behavior. The radio crackled. Copy that, Barnes. Supervisor en route. Jada looked up at her aunt, her eyes shining with tears she refused to let fall. Aunt Lisa, I told the truth. I know, baby. I know you did. Why doesn't he believe me? Barnes heard this and laughed again, a shorter, sharper sound. Why don't I believe you? Because I live in the real world, sweetheart. In the real world, Navy SEALs don't look like your mom. They don't come from families like yours. They're farm boys from Iowa and surfer kids from California and tough guys from Texas. They're not, he caught himself, but the words hung in the air anyway, unfinished but perfectly clear. The elderly veteran stood up. Not what, officer? Say it. I didn't say anything. You were about to. I was about to say they're not common. They're exceptional. They're rare. That's what I was going to say. That's not what you were going to say. Barnes's jaw worked, his patience clearly evaporating. Sir, sit down, or I'm going to ask you to leave the security area. You can't kick me out. I have a flight to catch. I can detain anyone who interferes with a security operation. This isn't a security operation. This is a power trip. Before Barnes could respond, his radio crackled again. Barnes, be advised, we're showing a military transport arriving at the secure gate, manifesting classified personnel. TSA has been notified of VIP movement. Barnes unclipped his radio. What? When was this scheduled? Wasn't on the morning brief, just came through DoD channels. ETA 3 minutes. What kind of VIP? They didn't say, but we've got instructions to provide full cooperation and secure a private route through the terminal. Barnes glanced at Lisa and Jada, then back at his radio. Which gate? Secure Gate 7, near Checkpoint 3. That was 50 yards from where they stood. Jada whispered, She's here. Barnes ignored her. Dispatch, I'm in the middle of something here. Can someone else handle the VIP detail? Negative. You're the closest officer. Captain wants you on it. Barnes swore under his breath, clipping his radio back. He pointed at Lisa and Jada. Don't move. I'm not done with you two. He turned toward the secure hallway that led to the restricted gates, the ones where private jets and government aircraft arrived, where senators and foreign diplomats and people whose names never appeared on public manifests came and went. The TSA agents had stopped pretending to work. Travelers had abandoned all pretense of moving through the line. Everyone was watching now, sensing something was about to happen, though no one knew quite what. Keisha moved closer to Lisa. Is her mom really? Yes, Lisa said simply. Then he just made a huge mistake. I know. Through the reinforced glass windows that overlooked the tarmac, they could see it happening. A C-130 military transport had landed and was taxiing toward the secure gate. Ground crew rushed to position the mobile stairs. Airport security vehicles formed a perimeter, their lights flashing in silence. No sirens, but unmistakable authority. The secure door at the end of the hallway, the one marked Restricted Access, Authorized Personnel, Only, buzzed loudly. The magnetic lock disengaged with a heavy clunk. Barnes stood near the door, adjusting his belt, preparing to meet whoever was coming through with his best official bearing, clearly expecting some politician or general he needed to impress. The door opened. The first person through was a man who looked like he'd been carved from granite, 6'3", 220 pounds of muscle, wearing Navy Type 3 working uniform with a trident insignia on his chest. He moved with the kind of fluid precision that suggested he could navigate a dark room full of hostiles without making a sound. His eyes swept the checkpoint area in a 3-second threat assessment: exits, civilians, potential problems. Behind him came another SEAL, then another, then two more. They entered in formation, spreading out with practiced efficiency, creating a secure corridor. Each of them wore full tactical gear, despite being in an airport: plate carriers, drop leg holsters, weapons secured but visible. Their faces showed no emotion, no curiosity about the civilians staring at them. They were professionals in the middle of an operation, and the operation was simply moving through an airport, but they performed it with the same intensity as a midnight raid. Barnes froze, his swagger evaporating. Gentlemen, I'm Officer Barnes, Airport Security. I was told to expect... The lead SEAL didn't even glance at him. Clear the checkpoint. It wasn't a request. It wasn't a negotiation. It was a simple statement of fact about what was going to happen in the next 10 seconds. A TSA supervisor, a nervous woman in her 50s with a badge identifying her as Sharon Mendez, rushed forward. Yes, absolutely. Everyone, please step to the sides, clear the center lane. This is a priority movement. Travelers scrambled to comply, pressing themselves against walls and counters. The businessman with the phone nearly dropped it. The mother with the toddler backed up so quickly she bumped into a trash can. The family of 4 stood frozen, their eyes wide. Barnes tried again. I just need to know what... Not your concern, another SEAL said, his voice flat. Step aside. More SEALs came through the door. 6 now, 7, 8. They fanned out, covering angles, watching windows, monitoring every person in the checkpoint area. These weren't men playing dress-up or security guards with delusions of importance. These were operators who'd killed enemy combatants in confirmed combat, who'd parachuted into hostile territory at midnight, who'd swum miles underwater to reach target objectives. Their presence changed the atmosphere of the entire terminal, sucking the casual airport bustle out and replacing it with something sharp and dangerous. Through the doorway, there was movement. Someone else was coming. Jada's breath caught. She took a half-step forward before Lisa caught her arm. Chief Petty Officer Maya Thompson emerged from the secure hallway, and the checkpoint became silent. She was 5'7", 145 pounds, every ounce of it honed through thousands of hours of the most brutal training the U.S. military could devise. Her skin was dark brown, her hair pulled back in a tight bun, her face marked with the kind of weathered beauty that came from years in the sun, wind, and salt spray of operational deployments. She wore the same Type 3 uniform as her team, the same plate carrier, the same gear. The only difference was the patch on her shoulder, a trident with an American flag, and beneath it, Thompson. She wasn't the biggest person in the checkpoint. She wasn't the loudest. She didn't need to be. Command presence isn't about size or volume. It's about certainty. It's the absolute knowledge that you've been in situations most people can't imagine and survive them through skill, training, and willpower. It's the confidence that comes from jumping out of aircraft at night, from breaching doors while someone shoots at you from the other side, from making life or death decisions in split seconds and living with the consequences. Maya Thompson carried all of that in the way she stood, in the way she moved, in the way her eyes surveyed the checkpoint with the same tactical assessment her team had performed. She saw her daughter immediately. Her expression didn't change. SEALs are trained to maintain operational composure, but something softened in her eyes. She walked forward, her boots making steady, measured sounds on the linoleum. The SEALs moved with her, maintaining formation, creating a protective envelope. They didn't block anyone's view, but they made it absolutely clear that approaching uninvited would be a catastrophically bad idea. Barnes stood off to the side, his earlier confidence replaced by confusion and growing dread. He looked at the approaching SEALs, then at Jada, then back at the SEALs. His face cycled through emotions: confusion, realization, horror. Maya stopped 3 feet from her daughter. For a moment, the warrior disappeared, and there was just a mother seeing her child after months apart. She dropped to one knee, opening her arms. "Hey, baby girl!" Jada broke free from Lisa's grip and rushed forward, colliding with her mother with enough force to rock Maya back on her heels. She wrapped her arms around Maya's neck, her face pressed into her mother's shoulder, and finally let the tears come. Not from sadness or humiliation, but from relief, from pride, from the simple fact that her mom was home. "I missed you," Jada sobbed. "I missed you too, sweetheart. So much." Maya held her daughter, one hand cradling her head, the other pressed against her back. "I'm here now. I'm right here." The SEALs stood around them in a loose circle, facing outward, giving them privacy while maintaining security. None of them spoke. None of them looked away from their assigned sectors. They were statues with heartbeats, warriors who'd fight wars, but also understood that sometimes the most important mission was simply protecting a reunion between mother and daughter. Maya pulled back slightly, cupping Jada's face in her hands, wiping tears with her thumbs. "You okay?" Jada nodded, then shook her head, then nodded again. "That man, Officer Barnes, he said I was lying. He said you weren't real. He said Navy SEALs don't look like you." Maya's jaw tightened fractionally. "Which man?" Jada turned slightly, pointing. "Him." Maya stood slowly, her hand resting on Jada's shoulder. She looked at Officer Barnes with the same calm intensity she'd used to look at enemy combatants through a rifle scope. "You're Officer Barnes?" Barnes tried to find his voice. Yes. I'm airport security. You were just what?" Maya's voice was quiet, controlled. "Explain to me what you were doing with my daughter." "I was talking to her. She said, she made a claim that seemed, I thought she was." Barnes stumbled over his words. His earlier eloquence vanished. "Look, ma'am, I'm just doing my job. We have to verify things. When someone makes an unusual claim, what unusual claim did she make?" "She said her mother was a Navy SEAL. My daughter told you the truth, and you accused her of lying." "I didn't know. I couldn't have. How was I supposed to?" Maya took a single step forward. The SEALs shifted almost imperceptibly, ready to move if their chief needed them, though their presence alone made Barnes step back involuntarily. "Let me make sure I understand the situation," Maya said, her voice still eerily calm. "My 12-year-old daughter told you that her mother is a Navy SEAL. Instead of believing her, you humiliated her in front of dozens of strangers. You questioned her honesty. You lectured her about respecting the military, the same military her mother has served in for 13 years. You made her cry. Have I got that right?" "Ma'am, with all respect, don't." Maya's voice cut like a knife. "Don't tell me about respect. You don't know the first thing about respect. Respect is trusting that a child brave enough to speak the truth deserves to be heard. Respect is understanding that Navy SEALs come in different sizes, colors, and backgrounds. Respect is doing your job without bullying a kid half your size." Barnes's face had gone from red to white. "I apologize. I made a mistake. I couldn't have known." "You couldn't have known because you didn't ask. You didn't verify. You didn't do the job you claim to be so proud of. You saw a black child making what you thought was an impossible claim, and you decided she must be lying. You saw my sister," Maya gestured to Lisa, "trying to defend her niece, and you threatened them with detention. You created a scene, drew a crowd, and used your authority to make my daughter feel small. That's not a mistake, Officer Barnes. That's a choice." Sharon Mendez, the TSA supervisor, had appeared next to Barnes, her face pale. "Chief Thompson, on behalf of the entire airport security team, I want to apologize. This behavior is completely unacceptable. We will be conducting a full review." Maya held up a hand. "I appreciate that, but right now, I'm not concerned with institutional apologies. I'm concerned with my daughter." She turned back to Jada, her expression softening again. "Baby, I'm sorry I wasn't here when you needed me. It's okay, Mom. You're here now." "It's not okay. Nobody gets to treat you like that. Ever." Maya looked at Lisa. "Thank you for being here with her." Lisa smiled, tears in her own eyes now. "Always. Welcome home, Maya." One of the SEALs, a man with a thick beard and a scar running, eyes along his jawline, cleared his throat. "Chief, we need to move. We're exposed here." Maya nodded. "Copy that." She looked at Sharon Mendez. "I need private security escort from my family to the parking area. No delays, no additional screenings, no more interactions with your staff." "Absolutely. I'll arrange it personally." "And I want a full incident report about Officer Barnes's conduct on my desk within 72 hours. Send it to Naval Special Warfare Command. Attention Chief Thompson. Contact information is classified. but your security director will have the routing instructions. Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Maya put her arm around Jada's shoulders. Come on, baby, let's go home. The SEALs formed up around them, front, sides, rear. Lisa fell in beside Jada, and the entire formation began moving toward a side corridor that led away from the main checkpoint. TSA agents stood aside. Travelers pressed themselves against walls, their phones out, recording everything, their faces showing a mixture of awe and confusion. As they passed Barnes, Maya stopped. The entire formation stopped with her. She looked at him one more time, and when she spoke, her voice was loud enough for everyone in the checkpoint to hear. Navy SEALs look like me, Officer Barnes. We look like your neighbors, your classmates, your family members. We come from farms and cities, from rich families and poor ones, from every race and background this country has. We're not characters in movies. We're not myths. We're real people who do real work in real danger. My daughter knew that. She tried to tell you. The fact that you couldn't see it says everything about you and nothing about us. She turned away, dismissing him as thoroughly as if he'd ceased to exist. The formation moved through the side corridor, their boots echoing in perfect rhythm. Airport security personnel scrambled to hold doors, to clear paths, to stay out of the way. No one spoke. No one dared. Jada walked beside her mother, her hand gripping Maya's tactical vest, her earlier tears replaced by something else. Pride, vindication, the unshakable knowledge that she'd told the truth, and the truth had prevailed. Behind them, in the checkpoint area, Officer Barnes stood frozen while his supervisor pulled him aside for what would be the first of many very uncomfortable conversations. Keisha watched the departing SEAL team, a smile playing at her lips. The elderly veteran sat back down on his bench, nodding in satisfaction. Travelers slowly began to move again, but the conversations that erupted were all about the same thing. What they'd just witnessed, what it meant, who that woman was. The businessman with the phone played back his recording, already composing the social media posts that would go viral within hours. The mother with the toddler explained to her child in hushed tones that they'd just seen something special. The family of 4 stood together, the teenagers' eyes wide, already texting their friends. In the side corridor, away from the crowds, Maya's formation moved with continued precision. The bearded SEAL, Lieutenant Commander Steve Morrison, Maya's team leader, spoke quietly into his radio. This is Morrison, package secure, moving to exfil, ETA to parking structure 2 minutes. Another team member, a Latino man named Carlos Rodriguez, who'd been Maya's swim buddy through Bud S., grinned despite himself. That was some operator shit, Chief. You scared that rent-a-cop so bad I thought he might actually piss himself. Belay that, Rodriguez, Maya said, but there was the slightest hint of humor in her voice. Maintain protocol. Copy that. They reached a service elevator that had been held for them by another airport security officer, this one a middle-aged black man who nodded respectfully as they entered. Ma'am, I want to apologize for my colleague's behavior. That wasn't right. Maya studied him for a moment. Your security? Yes, ma'am. Officer Marcus Webb, 22 years on the job. Did you witness the incident? No, ma'am, but word travels fast around here. Barnes has been a problem for a while. This might finally be what gets him dealt with. I hope so, for the sake of the next kid who tells him the truth. The elevator descended in silence. Jada leaned against her mother, exhausted from the emotional roller coaster of the last 30 minutes. Lisa stood on Maya's other side, her hand resting on her sister's arm, grateful and relieved. The SEALs maintained their positions even in the confined space. Morrison and Rodriguez flanking the doors, 2 others covering the rear, the rest positioned to respond to any threat from any direction. Even here, even in an airport elevator, they were operational. When the doors opened to the parking structure, 2 black SUVs waited, engines running, driven by more military personnel. Morrison opened the rear door of the first vehicle. Chief, you and your family in this one will escort to your destination. Maya helped Jada into the SUV, then Lisa. Before getting in herself, she turned to Morrison. Steve, thank you. I know this wasn't part of the mission parameters. Morrison's expression was serious. Maya, you're our teammate. That makes Jada our family. Nobody fucks with our family. Permission to speak freely? Granted. That asshole Barnes is lucky it was just you who showed up. If he'd made Rodriguez's kid cry, there'd be a news story about an airport security officer found zip-tied to a baggage carousel. Rodriguez called out from near the second SUV. "Damn right!" Maya shook her head, smiling despite herself. "Get in the vehicles, you maniacs." The formation loaded up with the same efficiency they'd displayed throughout. Within 15 seconds, both SUVs were moving through the parking structure, heading for the exit. Maya sat between Jada and Lisa in the back seat, her arm around her daughter, her mission gear still on because there hadn't been time to change, her mind already processing the incident and what needed to happen next. Jada looked up at her mother. "Mom? Yeah, baby? I knew you'd come." Maya kissed the top of her daughter's head. "Always, sweetheart. Always. Even when that man was being mean, I knew you'd come. I told him, I said, 'She's coming.' And he didn't believe me. A lot of people don't believe until they see. That's their problem, not yours. Why didn't he believe me?" It was the question Maya had known was coming, the one she'd hoped to delay until Jada was older, until the world made more sense, until prejudice and preconception could be explained in ways that didn't hurt. But 12-year-olds deserved honesty, especially 12-year-olds who'd just been publicly humiliated. "Because he saw your skin color and mine and decided he knew what we could and couldn't be," Maya said quietly. "Because he's been told stories his whole life about who gets to be a hero, and those stories probably didn't include people who look like us. Because he has a badge and a uniform, and he forgot that those things are supposed to mean service, not power over others. That's not fair. No, baby, it's not. You're one of the best SEALs in the whole Navy. Uncle Steve told me you were top of your class in advanced tactical training. You saved people's lives on deployment." Maya glanced at Lisa, who shrugged apologetically. She'd let Morrison talk too much during a family dinner before the deployment. "Uncle Steve has a big mouth. He said you were his best operator. He was being generous. He said you could outshoot, outswim, and outthink anyone on the team. He definitely has a big mouth." Lisa laughed. "She's not wrong, Maya. Morrison talks about you like you walk on water, which, given your job, you kinda do." The SUV exited the parking structure into San Diego sunshine. The second vehicle stayed close behind, maintaining formation even in civilian traffic. The driver, a Navy petty officer named Jackson, navigated smoothly toward the highway. Jada was quiet for a moment, processing. Then, "Mom, if that man writes a report about me, will I be in trouble?" Maya's expression hardened again. "No, you will absolutely not be in trouble. Barnes is the one who will be in trouble. And not just with the airport, with the military. He humiliated a service member's dependent while that service member was deployed on a classified operation. That's going to go up the chain of command, and it's going to result in consequences." "What kind of consequences?" "The kind where he learns that actions have repercussions. The kind where he thinks twice before bullying another kid. The kind where maybe he loses his job, or at least his authority to harass people." Lisa spoke up. "Maya, do you really think the military will get involved?" "I'll make sure of it. This isn't just about Jada, though that would be enough. This is about every military family member who travels through that airport. If Barnes thinks he can abuse his position with my daughter, he'll do it to someone else's kid next month. That stops now." The SUV merged onto Interstate 5, heading north toward Coronado. Jada watched the familiar landscape roll past, the bay, the bridge, the Navy ships docked at the harbor. This was home. This was where she'd grown up, where she'd learned to swim in the same water her mother trained in, where she'd attended school on base while her mom deployed to countries she couldn't pronounce. "Mom," Jada said after a while. "Yeah, sweetheart? I'm proud of you." Maya's throat tightened. She'd been in firefights. She'd parachuted into mountain ranges at night. She'd conducted direct action raids against high-value targets. She'd been awarded medals for valor, but nothing, absolutely nothing hit her harder than those 4 words from her daughter. "I'm proud of you too, baby. You stood up for yourself. You told the truth even when someone tried to make you doubt it. That takes courage. I learned it from you. You learned it from being brave all on your own." They drove in comfortable silence for a while, the tension of the airport gradually fading, replaced by the simple relief of being together again. Lisa checked her phone, scrolling through messages from other family members wanting updates. Morrison's SUV stayed in formation behind them, the team still on duty until their chief and her family were safely home. Jackson glanced in the rearview mirror. Chief, ETA to your residence 15 minutes. We'll maintain position until you're inside and secure. Copy that. Thank you, Jackson. My pleasure, ma'am. And if I may say so, my sister has 2 kids. What happened to your daughter today could have happened to them. On behalf of all of us with families, thank you for making that asshole accountable. Maya nodded, acknowledging the sentiment. Jada shifted against her mother, getting comfortable. Mom, can I ask you something about being a SEAL? Always. When you were in training, when people told you that you couldn't do it, how did you keep going? Maya considered the question carefully. It was one she'd been asked before by reporters, by military officials, by young women considering service. But this was different. This was her daughter asking, and the answer mattered more than any interview. I kept going because quitting meant proving them right, Maya said. Every time an instructor yelled that I wasn't strong enough, every time I heard someone say women couldn't hack it, every time my body was screaming at me to ring that bell and quit, I thought about all the people who expected me to fail, and I decided I'd rather die trying than give them the satisfaction of watching me quit. Did you ever want to quit? Every single day of Hell Week, and plenty of times after that. Training to be a SEAL isn't about never wanting to quit, Jada. It's about wanting to quit and doing it anyway. It's about pushing through when everything in your body and mind is telling you to stop. It's about finding out what you're made of when you're stripped down to nothing but willpower. Is that what you did today? Push through? Maya smiled. Today was easy, baby. Today was just showing up for my daughter. That doesn't require pushing through anything. That's just what mothers do. Lisa wiped her eyes. Maya, you're going to make me cry again. You've been crying since we got in the car. Because my big sister is a certified badass who just made an airport cop wet himself. And I'm emotional about it. Jada giggled, the first genuine laugh since the incident. Aunt Lisa, he didn't actually. Spiritually, he did. I saw his soul leave his body when your mom showed up with her squad. It's a team, not a squad, Maya corrected, but she was smiling. We're not Marines. Whatever. You showed up with 7 large men in tactical gear, looking like they were about to invade a small country. And that racist jerk realized he'd messed with the wrong family. It was beautiful. I wish I'd recorded it. Someone did, Maya said. Probably multiple someones. It'll be on social media within hours. She wasn't wrong. At that very moment, the businessman's video was being shared across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. The caption read, Airport cop harasses black girl for saying her mom is a Navy SEAL. Then her SEAL mom shows up with the entire team. Watch his face when he realizes. It had already been viewed 50,000 times, and the comments were overwhelmingly supportive, with a few trolls doubting the authenticity until other veterans confirmed that, yes, this was exactly how SEAL teams moved when protecting their own. The SUV exited the highway, heading toward the base housing where Maya and Jada lived. The security gate was ahead, familiar and welcoming. Jackson showed his ID to the guard, who glanced in the back seat, recognized Maya, and snapped a sharp salute before waving them through. Home was a modest 3-bedroom house on a quiet street lined with similar houses, all occupied by military families. The lawn needed mowing. It always did when Maya was deployed. Lisa had tried to keep up with it, but she had her own house to maintain. The basketball hoop in the driveway had a tattered net. Jada's bike leaned against the garage door. Both SUVs pulled into the driveway. Morrison got out first, surveying the neighborhood with professional paranoia before giving the all clear. The rest of the team exited their vehicle, forming up one last time. Maya helped Jada out of the SUV, then turned to her team. Gentlemen, I appreciate the escort. You're dismissed to return to base. Morrison stepped forward. Maya, we're going to sweep the house first. Steve, that's not necessary. Protocol says otherwise. You've been deployed for 8 months. House has been empty except for your sister's visits. We sweep before you enter. Non-negotiable. Maya recognized the tone. It was the same one she used when giving orders, that weren't up for debate. Fine. Make it quick. Rodriguez already had the house key that Lisa had provided earlier. He and 2 other SEALs entered through the front door, moving with the same tactical precision they'd shown in the airport, clearing rooms, checking closets, ensuring no threats lurked in the empty house. It took them 90 seconds to confirm what everyone already knew. The house was secure. Rodriguez emerged, gave a thumbs up. All clear, Chief. Welcome home. The team gathered in the driveway for final words. These were men Maya had served with for years, who'd trusted her with their lives and whom she'd trusted with hers. They'd conducted operations together that would never be declassified, shared experiences that couldn't be discussed outside their tight circle. Morrison spoke for all of them. "Maya, we're glad you're home. You did good work over there. The Admiral will brief you on the commendation recommendations next week. Commendations can wait. Right now, I just want to be a mom. Copy that." He turned to Jada. "Hey, kiddo." "Hi, Uncle Steve. Your mom talks about you constantly on deployment. You know that?" Jada shook her head. "It's true. Every time we had downtime, she'd pull out pictures on her phone and show us what you were doing in school, what awards you won, what books you were reading. You made a lot of rough days better just by being you." Jada looked up at her mother, who shrugged. "He's telling the truth. You were my reminder of why we do this job." Rodriguez crouched down to Jada's level. "And listen, that thing at the airport, that took guts. You stood your ground against an authority figure who was wrong. That's harder than most military operations. You should be proud." "I am," Jada said quietly. "Now? Good. Remember this feeling next time someone tells you who you can or can't be. Remember that you're the daughter of one of the baddest women on the planet, and that makes you pretty badass yourself." "Carlos, watch the language," Maya warned, but she was smiling. "Sorry, Chief. Pretty darn badass." The team loaded back into their SUVs. Morrison gave Maya a final nod. Part salute, part respect, between equals. And then they were gone, driving out of the neighborhood as professionally as they had entered it. Lisa unlocked the front door. "I cleaned the house yesterday. There's food in the fridge. I didn't know what you'd want, so I got a little of everything." "You're the best sister in the world," Maya said. "I know. You can thank me by telling me every detail of that deployment once Jada's in bed and we've had wine. Most of it's classified. Then tell me the unclassified parts. I want to live vicariously through your adventures." They entered the house together. It smelled like cleaning products and the vanilla candles Lisa favored. Everything was in its place. Photos on the walls showing Maya and Jada through the years. Maya's awards in frames, Jada's school achievements, family pictures. That included Lisa and their parents and cousins. Jada went straight to the couch and flopped down, exhausted. The adrenaline had worn off, leaving her drained. Maya looked around her home, feeling the weight of 8 months away. 8 months of sleeping in barracks and tents and places that couldn't be named. 8 months of mission objectives and tactical operations, and the constant hum of danger. This quiet house with her daughter on the couch and her sister in the kitchen making tea. This was what she'd been fighting for. "I'm going to change out of my gear," Maya said. "Jada, you okay for a few minutes?" "I'm good, Mom." Maya went to her bedroom, stripping off the plate carrier, the tactical vest, the uniform that marked her as Chief Petty Officer Thompson, Naval Special Warfare. Underneath, she was just Maya, a woman in her mid-30s with sore muscles and old scars, and a bone-deep exhaustion that 8 months of deployment carved into a person. She changed into civilian clothes, jeans and a navy t-shirt, and returned to find Lisa had made tea, and Jada had turned on the TV to some show about teenagers with superpowers. Maya sat next to her daughter, pulling her close. Lisa handed her tea and sat in the adjacent armchair. "So," Lisa said after a moment. That happened, Maya agreed. "You're going to follow up, right? Make sure Barnes faces consequences?" "Absolutely. First thing Monday morning, I'm contacting the airport director and filing a formal complaint. Then I'm contacting JAG, Judge Advocate General's office, and having them send a letter about harassment of military dependents. Then I'm contacting my chain of command and ensuring they're aware that one of their operators' families was mistreated on U.S. soil." "Think it'll actually change anything?" Maya considered. "Maybe, maybe not. But I have to try. Because next time it might not be a SEAL's daughter. It might be a regular kid with no backup, no team to protect them, no mother who can make calls to admirals. Those kids deserve protection too." Jada spoke up without looking away from the TV. "Mom, do you think Officer Barnes will apologize?" "I don't know, baby. Some people apologize because they're genuinely sorry. Some people apologize because they're caught. I'm not sure which category he falls into." "I don't need an apology," Jada said. "I just don't want him to do it to someone else." Maya squeezed her daughter's shoulder. "That's very mature of you." "I learned it from watching you. You always say the mission is bigger than personal feelings." "I did say that, didn't I?" You say it all the time. You said it when you had to miss my school play because of training. You said it when you deployed instead of being here for my birthday. You said it when you explained why you do this job, even though it's dangerous and it means being away from me. Maya was quiet for a long moment, her tea cooling in her hands. Jada, I want you to know something. The mission is important. Protecting this country is important. But you are the most important mission I'll ever have. Every time I deploy, every time I go into danger, I'm thinking about coming home to you. You're not secondary to the mission, baby. You're the whole reason the mission matters. Jada finally looked up, her eyes shining again. Really? Really? And I'm sorry I ever made you feel otherwise. You didn't. I understand why you have to go. I just miss you when you're gone. I miss you too, every single day. They sat together in comfortable silence, the TV playing, the tea steaming, the afternoon sun slanting through the windows. Outside, the neighborhood was quiet. Other military families going about their Sunday routines, kids playing in yards, the distant sound of a lawnmower. Lisa's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, then burst out laughing. Oh my God. What? Maya asked. The video from the airport. It's everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, everyone's sharing it. There's a whole hashtag, Legor Seal Mom Shutdown. People are calling for Barnes to be fired. CNN picked it up. The story's on their homepage. Maya groaned. That's the last thing I need. Are you kidding? This is amazing. Everyone's talking about how badass you are, how that cop got what he deserved, how we need more representation of women and people of color in special operations. You're a viral hero. I'm a SEAL who wants to maintain operational security and not have my face plastered across the internet. Too late, you're already a meme. I'm a what? Lisa showed her the phone. Someone had screenshot Maya's face as she confronted Barnes and added the caption, "The face you make when someone messes with the wrong 12-year-old." It had been shared 50,000 times. Maya rubbed her face. Morrison is going to kill me. The Admiral is going to kill me. Public Affairs is going to have a stroke. Or, Lisa countered, they're going to recognize that this is actually good publicity for the Navy. You're showing the world that SEALs are diverse, that women can and do serve in elite units, that the military protects its families. This is recruiting gold. That's not why I did it. I know, you did it because you're a good mom, but that doesn't mean it can't also be good for the Navy. Maya's phone rang, a number she recognized as Naval Special Warfare Command. Here we go, she answered. Chief Thompson. Chief, this is Commander Patterson from Public Affairs. I'm sure you've seen the video circulating online. I just became aware of it, sir. Well, I need you to know that Admiral Hendricks has been briefed. He wanted me to tell you 3 things. First, he fully supports your actions at the airport and has already initiated contact with the airport director regarding Officer Barnes's conduct. Second, he recognizes that this incident has generated significant public attention, and he'd like to speak with you tomorrow about how to handle media inquiries. Third, and most importantly, he wanted me to tell you, welcome home, and to give your daughter a hug from everyone at Nesestawas Command. Maya felt tension. She didn't know she'd been carrying release from her shoulders. Thank you, sir. Please tell the Admiral I appreciate his support. I will. Now, about the media, we're going to receive a lot of requests for interviews, statements, etc. My recommendation is that you don't do any of them. Let the Navy handle the official response. You just focus on being home with your family. That's my plan, sir. Good. Enjoy your leave, Chief. You've earned it. We'll see you next week for debriefing. Copy that. Maya hung up and looked at Lisa and Jada. The Admiral supports what happened. Public Affairs is handling the media. I don't have to talk to anyone. Lisa grinned. Told you it would work out. You did not tell me that. You were laughing at memes. Same thing. Jada yawned. Mom, I'm tired. Maya looked at her daughter, really looked at her for the first time since getting home. The girl was exhausted, wrung out from the emotional intensity of the day. Let's get you to bed, even though it's only afternoon. You can sleep as long as you need. Will you stay with me? As long as you want, baby. They went to Jada's room together, a space that had remained untouched during Maya's deployment. Band posters on the walls, books stacked on the desk, a collection of stuffed animals from childhood that Jada insisted she was too old for, but couldn't bring herself to pack away. Jada changed into pajamas and climbed into bed. Maya sat on the edge, smoothing her daughter's hair. Mom, Jada said sleepily. Yeah, sweetheart. Today was really scary, but also kind of cool. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. You were scared, but you were also strong. Both things can be true at the same time. Will you tell me a story? Maya smiled. What kind of story? Tell me about Hell Week. Tell me the worst day and how you got through it. That's not exactly a bedtime story. Please? Maya considered, then began. The worst day was day 4. We'd been awake for over 80 hours. We'd done surf torture, sitting in the ocean while waves crash over you until you're hypothermic. We'd run with boats on our heads until our necks were bleeding. We'd done log drills, where you carry a telephone pole with your boat crew while instructors spray you with hoses. I was so tired I was hallucinating. I saw colors that didn't exist. I heard music that wasn't there. Jada's eyes were already drooping, but she was listening. My boat crew, 6 of us, we were the only crew with a woman. The instructors were watching us extra carefully, waiting for me to quit. They said women didn't belong in Bud S. They said I'd drag my team down. They said my crew would hate me for making things harder. But they didn't hate you. No, because we all suffered together. Pain is a great equalizer. When everyone is that cold, that tired, that destroyed, your gender doesn't matter. All that matters is whether you quit or whether you keep going. So you kept going. So I kept going. Every time I wanted to quit, and I wanted to quit constantly, I thought about all the people who would say, "See, I told you she couldn't do it." I thought about little girls who might want to be SEALs someday. I thought about proving that women belong anywhere we want to be, and I thought about you. I wasn't born yet during Hell Week. No, but I knew I wanted kids someday. I knew I wanted a daughter, and I wanted to be able to look her in the eye and tell her that I'd faced the hardest thing I could imagine and I hadn't quit. That if Mom could get through Hell Week, my daughter could get through anything life threw at her. Jada's eyes closed. I can get through anything. Yes, you can. Because I'm your daughter. Because you're strong all on your own. Being my daughter just means you have backup when you need it. Jada smiled, already half asleep. Best backup in the world. Maya sat with her until her breathing evened out, until she was fully asleep and at peace. Then she kissed her forehead, whispered, "I love you," and quietly left the room. Lisa was in the kitchen, actually making dinner now, pasta with sauce that smelled like garlic and home. She looked up as Maya entered. She okay? She will be. She's resilient. She's your daughter. Of course she's resilient. Maya poured herself a glass of water, leaning against the counter. The full weight of the day, the return flight, the airport confrontation, the reunion, settled on her shoulders. Lisa, thank you for being there, for taking care of her while I was gone, for standing up to Barnes. That's what family does. You know that. I know, but it doesn't make me less grateful. They worked together, preparing dinner, falling into the familiar rhythm of sisters who'd cooked together since childhood. Lisa chopped vegetables while Maya stirred sauce. They didn't talk about the deployment or the airport or the viral video. They talked about normal things, their parents' health, Lisa's job at the hospital, neighborhood gossip, the fact that Jada needed new school clothes because she'd grown 2 inches in 8 months. Normal conversation. Normal life. The kind of normalcy that Maya fought to protect, even though she sometimes forgot to appreciate it when she was living it. Dinner was simple but perfect. Pasta, salad, bread. They ate in the kitchen rather than the dining room, casual and comfortable. Jada slept through it all, exhausted enough to sleep straight through until morning. After dinner, Lisa started to clean up. I should probably head home. You need time to decompress, and I need to prepare for work tomorrow. Thank you for everything, Maya said again. Stop thanking me. You'd do the same for me. I would, but I'd also expect you to thank me. Lisa laughed. Fair point. She grabbed her purse and keys. At the door, she paused. Maya, about what happened today. Jada's going to be okay. She's tougher than she looks. She gets that from you. She gets it from her mother, who literally swims miles in the ocean carrying weapons. I'm just doing my job. Your job is being a superhero. Own it. After Lisa left, Maya locked the door and checked all the windows. Old habits from deployments, from never fully trusting that a perimeter was secure. Then she made herself tea and sat in the living room, finally allowing herself to process the day. The airport incident bothered her more than she'd admitted. Not because of Barnes, he was a small man with a badge who'd learned a hard lesson, but because of what it represented. The assumptions people made based on appearance. The disbelief that someone who looked like her could achieve what she'd achieved. The fact that her daughter had to defend her mother's career to a stranger who thought he knew better. This was the part of service they didn't talk about in recruiting videos. The microaggressions, the constant need to prove yourself, the way some people would always question whether you belonged. Maya had experienced it throughout her career, from the men in Bud S who assumed she'd fail, to the officers who questioned her tactical decisions, to the strangers who heard her rank and occupation and immediately doubted. She'd learned to armor herself against it, to let the doubt fuel her rather than defeat her, to prove herself through performance rather than argument. But it hurt differently when it affected Jada. When her daughter had to defend her mother's honor against an adult with authority. Maya's phone buzzed, Morrison texting. "You good?" She replied, "Yeah, just processing." Morrison, "That kid's gonna be bragging about her mom to everyone at school tomorrow." Maya, "She's been bragging about me for years. Usually no one believes her." Morrison, "They'll believe her now. That video's got 5 million views and counting. Your daughter's a celebrity by association." Maya, "That's exactly what she needs. More attention." Morrison, "Could be worse. Could be my kids. They tell people their dad's a plumber because my job's classified and explaining it's too complicated." Maya, "What do you actually tell them you do?" Morrison, "I tell them I work for the Navy doing important stuff, and sometimes I have to go away for a while. They're fine with it. Kids are resilient." Maya, "They are. Doesn't mean we should test that resilience more than necessary." Morrison, "No argument there. Get some rest, Maya. You've earned it. See you Tuesday for debrief." Maya, "Copy." She set down her phone and sipped her tea, thinking about resilience, about children, about the costs of service that never appeared in official reports. Every deployment meant missing birthdays, school plays, parent-teacher conferences, the small daily moments that made up childhood. Every mission meant putting herself in danger, knowing that her daughter might grow up without a mother if something went wrong. But it also meant protecting a world where her daughter could grow up safe, where Jada could go to school without fear of attack, could travel without fear of terrorism, could dream about any future she wanted, because people like Maya stood watch. The mission was bigger than personal feelings, but personal feelings were why the mission mattered. She finished her tea and checked on Jada one more time, still sleeping peacefully, her face relaxed, the stress of the day erased by rest. Maya stood in the doorway for a long moment, just watching her daughter breathe, grateful for another day to be her mother. Then she went to her own room, set multiple alarms despite her exhaustion, and finally let herself sleep. Home, safe, mission complete, for now.